Y'all ready? Fish Stripes Live coming at you on a Thursday evening. Here I am back home in South Florida and ready for the Marlins and Padres, a 4-game set between the Marlins and one of the best teams in all of baseball this year. It should be an exciting series as Fernando Tatis Jr. and the Padres come to town. Should see some good baseball. Before we get into the Padres, will obviously start where we usually do and go back a series and talk about the National Series. The Marlins dropped 2 of 3 to the Nationals, but they did get off the schneid with a big win last night. They got a big hit from Jorge Alfaro in the 10th inning, and they added on and won 3-1 in extras. That was obviously a big win for the Marlins. Don Mattingly and Miguel Rojas kind of hinted at the fact that they really kind of needed that one to kind of reverse some of the frustration in the clubhouse. Obviously, it's not going to help them a ton in the standings, but it's still a big win nonetheless, just from a morale standpoint. The first thing I want to get started with this series is just, Sandy goes on the bereavement list, and obviously, we don't know when Sandy's coming back. We don't know what the situation is, and obviously we all want him to take his time working back from that, and the Marlins will obviously allow him that. So, the Marlins are now sitting at one of their big three that's active right now on the active roster, and that's Trevor Rogers. And the pitching has just, it's kind of piled up, and the Marlins have to work with a makeshift rotation right now. So, Alex Carver, I want to go to you first here, because a guy that we saw last night in Nick Neidert, been up and down, and he's had to deal with the roster fluctuation, and he's been really affected by all this stuff. You followed him for a long time. I know that. I followed him for a long time as well, since, he came over in the D. Gordon trade. And so I just wanted to ask you, do you see from him, and, what do you hope to see from him going forward?
Yeah, last night really good. He's best when he's commanding the fastball, obviously, and then when his changeup's working like it was last night with the 2-plane fade that he had. Sometimes it gets a little flat and he'll get hit hard. But last night he looked really good, man. It just sucks, as you said, with all the roster fluctuation, because here comes the guy. He has 5 great innings. Really, he's the reason why they were in that game for as long as they were. And then, how it wound up was great, obviously, with the hitting coming through late. But, man, he has this great outing, and then, next day, you're going back. Mm-hmm. So it sucks. I'll be happy when the trade deadline happens and we can have guys like that here that are those fringe guys that you want to see if they can make it happen on a consistent basis. It hasn't happened for Neidert because, as Mattingly said to us last night, Ethan, and whoever else was on that call, that he's like, that routine guy. He's kind of a creature of habit. He needs to get into a routine to really be good. And now when he's pitching, 7 days rest, 8 days rest, 5 days rest, and he's back and forth, up and down, here and there, it's tough to get into a routine, man. So, yeah, I definitely want to see Nick back on a regular basis to see if he can be that pitcher like we saw he was last night consistently.
Isaac, I want to go to you here, bring you in. Neidert, what do you want to see from him going forward? More of this, because obviously he was kind of like thrown off. He was great in the AAA in a year where the ball was flying all over the place in the Pacific Coast League, and then he goes to the Arizona Fall League, is really good there. And since then, Mattingly talked about this last night, he just hasn't had consistent play time. Gets injured in spring training, goes down with COVID, comes back, gets hurt, whatever the case may be. So, what do you like from him, and what do you want to see from him going forward?
How it goes with most starting pitchers, routine is, the most important thing. And with him, what really surprised me yesterday was the fact that he didn't have his best stuff. His location wasn't, the best part of his start yesterday, which, for him, it has to be. And he's still able to keep the Nationals off balance and keeping off the scoreboard for the most part. So I was really impressed with Neidert. Unfortunately, it gets back to the point, like Alex said, where in that part of July where, we're going to have to send him down, bring up Holloway just because we're so short on pitchers. But I hope in August and September he's there every 5th day in a routine in the major league level, and we'll see what he can do, because I was impressed yesterday.
Yeah, Kevin, do you think that Neidert has earned that shot to be here every 5th day? Because the Marlins, obviously, they have the, three holes in the rotation right now. So right now, I mean, we expect Sandy back pretty soon, but we don't know exactly when. But right now, it's basically only Thompson and Rogers that are locked into a spot. So has Neidert, do you think the way that Poteet and some of these other guys kind of locked down a spot, do you think Neidert has done that?
As of right now, yeah. I mean, they need him on that lineup, and they need him in the rotation. So as of now, he's earned his spot there. He had a great outing yesterday. It wasn't his best stuff, as Isaac mentioned. I wasn't able to watch the full game, but I mean, from what I heard and what I saw, the highlights, he had a solid outing. I mean, he limited the Nationals to 1 run, so that says a lot about him and says how he can handle this kind of lineup. So for now, let's keep him in that rotation. Let's see how it goes.
Daniel Rodriguez, man, I want to bring you in here because I want to get your opinion on just Neidert, where he goes from here. What does he have to do to continue? Because he's pitched 9 one-run innings the last 2 times he's been out. But again, he hasn't pitched consistently. So, do you want to see him pick up some more strikeouts, or do you like the way that he's being effective right now?
I think he has to, maybe the first thing is tone down the walks, especially when you look at last night, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, that's not really like a ratio you want to see. Turn down the walks, maybe give up 1 or 2, especially that strikeouts. When you have 2 strikeouts in 5 innings, that's not really the best efficiency when it comes to starting pitcher, and especially someone, having 5 innings pitched. But I think the Marlins should bring him out some more, especially in a season like this. It's always good to maybe bring out, pitch a couple young pitchers, see how they do, see if they're ready for next season. Because, this one's basically almost lost, especially with the trade deadline. You're going to probably bring up a lot more guys. But I think Nick Neidert has 100% earned a spot on the 5-man rotation, or at least bringing up some more spot starters like Nick Neidert for him to go the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I think we'll get into later just what we're looking for as this season kind of slows down. And Mattingly said that, he's kind of looking for Neidert to get more starts and start trying to find a routine at the big league level. So I certainly think he's in the plans going forward. Alex Contreras, I want to pivot to you about a different part of this series, a different part of last night's game. Your lookalike came through with a big hit, and he needed it maybe more than anybody on the team. So I know you love talking Jorge Alfaro here, and he comes through with a big hit last night, gives the Marlins the lead off the bench. Just what did that mean for him, and how excited did that make you?
It's about damn time. It's about damn time he connected on a clutch base hit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody he had a nickname called El Oso. When's the last time you heard anybody call him an Oso? Because there ain't no love right now for Alfaro. So, we really needed him to keep it, turning it up. You know what I'm saying? He's a ticking time bomb right now. He's really got to show to this front office what he has left in the tank, if he has anything left in the tank. If not, the days of him being a starter are long gone. He's going to be a backup here in Miami or somewhere else.
Yeah, and we saw, at a time it was 4 starts for Alfaro, 1 start for Leon, maybe 3 starts for Alfaro, 2 starts for Leon. Now all of a sudden, I think Leon has gotten the bulk of the starts recently, and Alfaro's in the lineup tonight. But they've been trying to get Leon in there because of how good he's been with some of the young starting pitching. So Noah, just a final thought from you, man, on what you saw in this set. Obviously, we haven't talked about the 18-1 drubbing on Monday, but
it didn't happen. I'm under the firm belief that Monday didn't happen. There was nothing happened. Nothing happened. It didn't happen. I don't even look at the run differential. I don't.
I've been telling people to not look at the run differential all season, so I'm really glad you said that.
Now I'm on your side, so yeah, you're welcome. I think the team looked good last night. Finally, our pitching came through. We didn't give up a burst of runs. Faro came huge in the clutch. Isan, what a surprise from him. I honestly think he turned himself around. I hope he keeps up. I don't think he will. But the way he looked in this last series, honestly, I'm very happy with the way he looked. He made some really nice plays in third. He had some really great at-bats. He was hitting the ball hard. I really like the way he looked. Magnera Sierra didn't live up to my expectations, but I have way too many expectations for him. So, listen, we're in a tough spot right now. It's a long season, but yeah, just gotta play every game.
Yeah, actually, I will, credit where credit is due. Isan did swing the bat better, and Miguel Rojas, spoke last night after the game and came out and made a point about that. He wanted to take the time to acknowledge, the work Isan had been putting in, and he has looked really good at third base. I actually think he's looked better at third base than he did at second base. So at least that's promising for him. And obviously you want to see him swing the bat better. Nobody wants to see him struggling, and you hope that it can continue. I think Eli tweeted the stat out today that 6 of the 10 balls that he's had batted balls since he's been back up have been hard hit. So it's a positive sign and encouraging for him, but the results got to start coming eventually. But anyway, so obviously 2 of 3, you drop 2 of 3, only take 2 of 6 on the road trip. It's or 2 of 7. Wait, I did my math wrong. 2 of 7. Yeah, sorry. They go 2 and 5 on the road trip. Obviously, a really tough trip. You lose Jazz, you lose Pablo, you lose Cooper. And some positive news, though, as we get into starting to kind of discuss the, what's going on around the team, is that Jazz was doing defensive work before the game today, was working on some baseball activity. I'm not sure he took BP. I didn't see any video of him taking BP, but I did see him taking grounders and stuff. Usually when a guy does defensive work, the next step is to start taking batting practice. So hopefully I'll see him take batting practice when I go tomorrow. He did tell Christina D. Nicole of MLB.com that he expects to go out on a rehab assignment in the next few days, and he could be back by the next homestand. So that's certainly a hugely positive, encouraging update, because I think a lot of people expected that Jazz would be out for a while after you see the way that he goes down and picks up that injury. As far as Cooper and Pablo go, we don't really have anything. I wasn't at the press conference, was only in person today, so I couldn't, if they gave any injury updates, I couldn't hear. But I'll be there tomorrow to see if we have any more. But for now, let's get into some discussion, and I think this is a discussion that we can finally close the book on. Obviously, we had a big discussion about this on Monday. The final report from Craig Mish comes out, I believe, yesterday or the day before, about Starling Marte and just kind of the way things unfolded. And basically what happened was the Marlins came with the lowball offer, and Starling, of course, said no. They came with a 3-year deal with a 1-year option. Starling again said no. The Marlins came back with a 3-year deal with more salary. Starling once again said no, and that was the end of it. So, for Isaac, I'll go to you here because you've been a little critical, understandably, of the way the Marlins handled this, and I think a lot of people have. So, did the Marlins, when you see this final report, basically where they do up their offer, they go up towards $40 million. We don't know the exact number. Did they gain a little credit for you? Did they kind of redeem themselves a little bit, or are you still kind of upset about the way they handled this?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. I think they put just as much effort in that as they did, Real Muto. I know Real Muto was offered a hell of a lot more, obviously, but he's a different player than Marte, a lot younger as well. So to go closer to $40 million was what I wanted to see, which is what they did. I think Marte was very upfront with them also. They said, listen, I don't really want to be talking about this during the season. And after the All-Star break, I think that's when negotiations are going to be cut. So, I think the Marlins did the best they can. And I think you and I agree that, handing the guy a 4th year probably wouldn't be, the smartest thing to do. So, yeah, they tried and they upped the offer a few times from what it looks like. So, they did their best, and it's just not meant to happen.
Yeah, I kind of was talking about this, and basically it just seemed like they weren't on the same page. Obviously
Right.
He seemed to really want that 4th year, and the Marlins understandably didn't want to give him that 4th year. And, we don't know how much money they, if he would have accepted if he got more money on that 3rd year, but it really seems like that 4th year was the deal breaker. And I can kind of understand that. And looking forward, Kevin, I was looking at it, guys don't really get 4-year deals in free agency anymore. So do you see the possibility that Starling Marte doesn't get the 4th year he's searching for on the open market? I mean, I think he'll get more money, but
It's going to be difficult, honestly. I mean, now you just mentioned not many 4-year deals are in free agency, and Marte is going to be a lot older. Right now, he's going to be 33. He's not 32, but after 4 years, he's going to be 36, and he's not going to have the biggest value unless he's somehow still playing decently like a Nelson Cruz. But besides that, I don't think he gets a 4-year deal in free agency. I think he'll get a 3-year, maybe more money, but I think he gets a 3-year with a lot more money, maybe around the 40 million marker, a little more than 40 million. But besides that, I don't see him getting more than 3 years. And it doesn't feel as bad now after this report coming out with the Starling Marte thing. It feels bad, but it's not horrible like we were discussing on Monday without knowing this report.
Yeah, I kind of think, 3 offers is a bunch of offers in that situation.
Yeah,
And
it
at
doesn't
some
feel as bad
point,
now.
like Marte says he wants to be here. At some point, where does that come into play where he's saying, okay, I'm willing to stay here under, circumstances that might not be my exact circumstances. So I believe it. I believed him when he said he wanted to be here. He always looked like he wanted to be here. But at some point, I kind of think, Marlins get to a point where it's like, okay, Noah, I want to go to you because obviously you bring a lot of the really, fan hardcore perspective. So do you think the Marlins did enough here?
No, I I don't feel like they did enough. I feel like they did what they could have done. I don't think they did what everyone wanted them to do, which was go out and pay the man. Um, but I do think it's in the long run it's better for the organization. But in the short term, I don't like it at all because if we lose Starling Marte, this next 3 years gone. Because although I do like our young outfielders, I think Starling Marte is just one of those X factors that without him, this team doesn't really work. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Alex, I want to go to you here. You've been just the kind of trade everybody guy, keep all options open, because or Alex Contreras, sorry, I forgot there are 2 Alexes on here. I've heard you discuss, you were the one that brought up to me, trading Pablo for a bat. You've kind of been open to all options. So how, should the Marlins get on it right now? Like, what is Marte here the next time that we do a stream on Monday, or do you think this goes all the way down to the deadline?
It goes all the way down to the deadline. That's what I believe. I think Kim Yang needs to bust moves. It's time for her to really show that she's serious about improving this ball club. And man, you got to trade something to get something. Right now we might not get the best available options for Starling Marte because he's basically a rental. But we have to be able to trade another piece. We got bullpen pieces. We got vets out here that other teams might likely be interested in. The phone's ringing hot on Miggy Rowe. I honestly believe Miggy Rowe more than Starling Marte. Miggy Rowe says that he loves the Marlins. He's willing to do anything and everything for him. He understands it's a business, and if he gets traded, that it's going to help out the Marlins, and so be it. I don't believe Starling. I know Starling likes it out here in Miami. He likes to be close to the DR, have his family close by. But at the end of the day, man, like he has to say that he wants to stay here in Miami. It's a political thing. You can't just be like, hey, I want the hell out of here. Like, and I kind of appreciate that as a fan, or somebody covering the team, because it kind of sucks, for guys like Noah, for guys like myself, for everybody in this whole chat. Like, we're diehard Marlins fans. We love the team, but it sucked to see guys like JT say we want it out. Giancarlo wanted out. Christian wanted out. You know what I'm saying? So we finally feel like the wave's starting to turn.
They wanted out because they saw what was coming.
It was different circumstances, but I guess we just lost Noah in the middle of that. It was different circumstances, but
Kim shut him down. Kim shut him down.
I understand the the perspective, Alex, that you want these guys to want to be here, and Jeter said he was happy that Starling expressed that sentiment.
The thing that really is a head scratcher for me, like, I understand it's a business and we got to trade the guy to try to get something, but it's like, dude, who the hell's going to back him up? Who's the next clear-cut center fielder? I know we have a surplus of outfielders, but they're all corner outfielders. You're telling me that you feel comfortable giving the ball to Mag Sierra or to Monte? I'm saying they deserve playing time, but I don't feel confident that they could produce at the same level as the Starling Marte. Is that fair? No, but at the same time, I don't want to keep losing 100 games.
Alex got into the Monte and Sierra and getting one last look at some of these guys, and I want to get into that in a second. But to finish up on Marte, and Daniel, I'm going to go to you here, and then Alex Carver, I'm going to go to you here. I can't even say Alex C because both of you are Alex C. Daniel, I'm going to come to you here. The Yankees, the Astros, the Phillies, and the Giants are the 4 teams I've seen so far that have expressed interest in Starling Marte, according to insiders and reports out there. Who do you think can give the Marlins the best package, and how do you think the Marlins should approach trying to get the best package?
I mean, the first one I would rule out is the Phillies, especially in division. You saw what happened with JT. Now he's torching the Marlins, it seems like, every other week. The last thing I think this regime will want to do is just trade probably their best player to the division rival, and then next week we see Starling Marte. He goes off .400 average, just destroys the Marlins. I think the Astros, I don't think their minor league organization really have best farm system. I think Alex Carver could attest to that or talk more about the minor leaguers. But I think maybe the Yankees could be pretty good, especially with their organization, and they kind of seem like they're kind of iffy depending on the buy or the sell, and they usually have some guys who they're able to let go in some minor leaguers. But I would say probably the Yankees, but I wouldn't rule out the Giants, especially the year they're having. I think they could get rid of some guys. Maybe, who knows, maybe the Marlins try to come up something for Joey Bart. Marlins need a catch or someone like that. I doubt it, but who knows?
So I think Bart is the easy Buster Posey replacement out in San Francisco, and so I highly, unless something really spectacular, the Marlins pull something really spectacular out of their ass. Yeah, I think he's off the table. Although I know that's going to be a name that's absolutely going to be floated out there. But the one name that I've actually seen floated out there in terms of a guy the Marlins are interested in was from the Craig Mish article about the end of the Starling Marte contract negotiations, where he said that. Here it is on the screen. Helio Ramos is a guy that the Marlins have interest in. He's an outfield prospect for the Giants, and he's got some okay numbers. He's not hitting for a ton of average this year, but he's hitting for power, and his OPS, I think, is somewhere in the high 700s, and he is one of their top prospects. To get him, the Marlins would probably have to attach a reliever. I don't think Marte alone is going to be enough. And so, Alex, this is why I wanted to come to you last, because I know you know these systems as well as anybody, probably better, definitely better than anybody on this chat right here. So I'll come to you. Who can provide the best package, and what would the package have to look like to get, a guy like Helio Ramos?
Yeah, it wouldn't be just Marte. If you want Helio Ramos, you're not getting him for just Marte. That's the third best prospect in their organization per pipeline. They have a couple other guys in their system too, though, Ethan, that are interesting. They have another catcher in addition to Bart, which they're not going to trade Joey Bart, unfortunately. But they have another catcher named Patrick Bailey, who is playing in single A advanced, and he's 22 years old, and he's hitting pretty well there. So maybe he could get moved up to Double A, maybe move Fortes up to Triple A. What happens there? Who knows? But that will be another piece to look at if you're going to deal with the Giants. I think per the systems that you mentioned, the Giants would have the most to offer in terms of prospect pedigree. It's just a question of how much will it take to get the targets that you want, because they're not going to give up Marco Luciano and they're not going to give up Joey Bart. Helio Ramos would be hard, but they have other pieces behind that are good. So I think if you're looking at those four systems that you mentioned, I mentioned in the last show that I don't really like the Yankees just because they're a mid to bottom tier, organization in terms of their prospects. They've never been a big prospect organization. They're always about veteran players and not really the total opposite of the Marlins. Let's just say that they buy their players. That's just the Yankees. That's who they are. That's who they've always been. The Red Sox are similar. Those big market teams are like that. The Dodgers have kind of gone both ways, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, to answer the question, if you're looking at those four systems that you mentioned, the one that I would want to deal with most out of those four would be San Francisco because they have the most.
Yeah, the Giants are an incredible organization. Like, I have some bias because there's some love for the Giants in my family, but the way they've gone from, obviously everybody thought they were going to be in the shitter this year, and now they're leading the best division in baseball. And all of a sudden, like, they had nothing in their farm system a few years ago, and now they've got a really good farm system that everybody is really high on. They've got a few top 100 prospects. Like, the way they put this together is pretty incredible. So, Isaac, a final word on this. What should the Marlins be looking for? What will satisfy the fans? Does it we talked about this a little bit on Monday, but are you looking for a prospect that's close, or are you looking for a guy that's in the MLB? Like, I don't think fans want, a low A pitcher. I think fans are looking for Double A, Triple A guys, right?
Yeah, I definitely think they're looking for a position player, obviously. Now, Alex talked about it last week that if, we go for the Helio Ramos, the major league ready candidates, you probably get more value if they're lower tier and not so major league ready, because that's what the other teams would be willing to dice on and say, okay, here you go. But that we'll see what we get. But I think the important thing is, I think it's if we're going to go down this road of trading Marte, which inevitably we are, I think it behooves Kim Ng to do this sooner rather than later, because we have no leverage here whatsoever. Because they know we try to re-sign him. The whole world knows we tried to. It wasn't able to get done. So I think, get it done quicker rather than on July 29th or July 30th, I think would maybe help a little bit, and 100% attach either Bender or Aguilar maybe to the Giants, and you can maybe get a Helio Ramos, which would be fantastic. But I think the main gist of it is to get it done sooner rather than later, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Alex.
My 2 cents real quick. I know Helio Ramos is a young guy. He's 21 years old. He's a young cat. He's a center fielder. But this is a guy's name that I've heard in the past when the Marlins were trying to trade Giancarlo back in 2017, 2018. The Giants were trying to package in a Helio Ramos to send them this way. The only thing that kind of like brings that flag to me is why the hell the Giants trying to trade this guy so much? Mm-hmm. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't want to get hit with another Lewis Brinson.
It's like trading.
So sleep good at night.
It's like trading with the Rays or the Dodgers, It's like why are these teams getting rid of this guy? What do they know that we don't? So, but anyway, the next thing I want to get into is what happens after Marte gets traded and what happens after everybody gets traded. And I think we talked about this a little bit with. There's still 2 months of the season after that, believe it or not, that a lot of people are going to have to drag through. But when you look at that, how can that be exciting? Daniel, I'll go to you here. Or Kevin, I haven't heard from you in a while. There's so many people, it's hard to get everybody in. But Kevin, I haven't heard from you in a while. So how can that be exciting? What do you want to see the Marlins do? Obviously, we know everybody wants Eddie Cabrera to come up. But what can the Marlins do to kind of tell you a little bit about what's going on and where they're going, in the last 2 months of the season?
First, if we win some of these trades in a way that we get a good return, first for these players that we're probably going to trade, like Marte, maybe Aguilar or Cooper, if anyone is interested in Cooper at this point. And second of all, I think if we get these guys like Eddie Cabrera up, maybe Bryson Bergman, which he has to be up here right now. If we get those guys up and maybe the Marlins show off the future of this team, people are going to start coming to the stadium and wanting to see these guys that we've been hearing about for years. I mean, all these guys that are right there to come up, maybe Brian Miller. We need those guys up right now. And or after the trade deadline or September call-ups, whenever that is. But I think if we bring those guys up, Marlins fans are going to see what those minor league teams have been preparing, or all of this top 5 minor league system that we've been hearing about. What's it made of? And if we get that, I think we would all be happy to end this season off, even though if it's 100 losses or however many losses we finish off with. But if we get to see the young guys, that's enough for all of us, I think.
And while we're talking right now, the trade deadline is starting. Jeff Passan is reporting of ESPN that the Tampa Bay Rays are acquiring Nelson Cruz from the Minnesota Twins. So I think this could tell us a little bit about what the Marlins are in for Starling Marte. Obviously, Nelson Cruz is in his 40s, so it's going to be different. But, this is a rental outfielder. Well, he DHs, but, guy that comes in to, kind of help the offense. And this could definitely tell us a lot about what the Marlins are going to get from Marte. So that's a big deal for the Rays. They are really, really good at this. They just do it so well. And so the Twin organization that could be selling they're getting started, and the Rays are getting started as well, because they're going to put a charge into it. So after the trade deadline, and Daniel, now I'll come to you because I just got to Kevin first. So who would you like to see? Obviously, call-ups are the big thing. What would you kind of like to see? Is it Monte? Is it Sierra? Is it some of the guys in AAA? What are you looking forward to?
That's just tough, especially everything. But I would like to see Eddie Cabrera come up. Someone like that, his arm, just to see what he could bring. Maybe a couple starts. Monte, we've kind of seen him, what he brings. Sierra, I don't really want to see Sierra, but I would like to see maybe someone like a JJ Bleday come up, maybe just for September, a couple games, just to see. Maybe he comes up to the majors. Maybe he gets out of his slump that he's been going on. Maybe it's just some sort of break. Something he sees in the majors. I would like to see him, and maybe even see a Jake Eater come up, someone like that who's basically almost come out of nowhere, and it's named a future star, especially now in Pensacola. I would like to see maybe those two guys come up, pitching Eater and then hitting. Maybe see JJ Bleday come up.
I kind of want to pivot here because I had talking about Pensacola specifically and that roster on here. But I don't know how much if I can fit this in here. But really quickly, just touching on Pensacola, they have 4 2020 draft picks in their starting rotation right now in Max Meyer, Jake Eater, Zach McCambley, and Kyle Nicholas, who just got called up the other day. Max Meyer pitched last night. He looked tremendous. I know Alex has been raving about how Max looked last night. He had 9 strikeouts in 5 innings, allowed like 3 hits and 2 runs or something like that. I've been a little disappointed with the fastball velocity. I thought he threw a little harder. He's topping out at 95, 96. I thought he was topping out higher 90s. Maybe he can add at some point, but I mean, it's effective enough, clearly, with that slider, and hopefully the changeup comes along. But, I was talking to somebody about this last night. Somebody said Max should be up in September, and Kim Bangs said pretty explicitly this year that they would rather those 2 guys not come up this year. And so as much as we would like to see it, I don't know if it's going to happen, but Alex, just real quick, are they ready? Like, could they pitch in the big leagues right now, these 2 guys? Like, could they get a shot at the end of the year and really legitimately compete up here, or do they still have too much to work on?
Can I answer your question with a question?
Yeah.
Why?
No, it's a good point.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
It might be out of necessity, guys, which is what's
why would
funny.
they do that? I mean, yeah, it would be cool from a fan perspective to see the prospects up. Yeah, the top prospects up. That would be great from a fan perspective. You can see what they have. But then they come up here and get mashed, and what does that do for their – not that I think they would, but if they did, they come up to majors, they're playing on a down-and-out Marlins team, and there's no run support. They get hit hard. What's the point? You ruin their confidence. You ruin their development. There's no point. You keep them down in the minors for the whole year. They're on an innings limit anyways, both of them. All of those draft guys are on innings limits that are pitchers, and the younger guys down below them are especially on innings limits. So I don't see a point in calling up these top guys before they're ready, just so you can gauge if they're ready to pitch in a lost season. Like, I mean, I guess you can make the point that, are they ready for next year? And that's fair, but that's something that you gauge in spring training. That's not something you gauge when they're trying to finish out their development in their first season in professional baseball. So I doubt that we see either one of those guys personally. I really hope we don't, honestly, speaking from the logistical sense. I really hope that we don't see either one of those players with the Marlins.
Isaac does bring up a good point, which is the Marlins might need innings. They just might need somebody to come up and
go to fringe guys.
I think you bring up me, and I think you bring up the 8 guys, the 7 guys in this chat before you bring up Max and Jake to put innings.
But dude,
get
those
the
fringe guys, I agree with you. If we had we just released Josh A. Smith, like you just broke. What other fringe guys do we have left to bring up? That's a scary part. That in September, let's say they want to shut down Trevor, which is going to be understandably. Pablo, let's say they don't want him pitching again, which is also understandable. You're going to shit. We need 5 innings from Max. We need 5 innings from someone, and it might have to be okay. Wow, that's all that's left, and it'll be funny if that ends up being the case. I hope it's not, but it might be.
We got the Marlins version of Ohtani and Sandy Leon, baby. Under or over, Sandy pitches 15 innings this season.
I think we might see him a few more times, honestly. I'm not even.
We'll see him once more. We'll see him once more.
In that case, Isaac, just to finalize this, we talked about Nick Neidert at the beginning of the show, and we talked about it last night. I thought fastball command was good, right? Slider was okay. Changeup wasn't good, and that's when he's at his best, is when he's throwing that changeup really well. And that's the pitch that he's building. He hasn't been able to polish that pitch off because of all this back and forth BS that he's dealing with, unable to get into his routine. That pitch isn't going to show. If that pitch shows for him, he's a much, much better pitcher than we've seen, probably even better than he was last night. Definitely, actually. So that's what you want, is you want these guys that are on the fringe to finish out in the major leagues on a routine. So if you need innings, that's the guys to go to. Braxton, Garrett, Neidert. I guess if Castano's back, I guess you could go him. Moramondo, if you just want an innings eater, you could go him. I don't think he's particularly good. I would have said Josh A. Smith, but the Marlins just cut him. So not him. But yeah, just those fringe guys that are in AAA. That's your innings eaters. Those guys that you want to see finish their development. That's where you go for innings.
The next thing I wanted to go to with Pensacola, just while we're on the topic, is what the fuck is wrong with the offense? There is so much talent on that roster, whether it's performing or not. There's so much talent on that roster. There's 9 of the Marlins' top 30 on that roster. So, obviously, Blade, Burdick, Conine, and who else is there? Fortes just cracked the top 30, but these guys all didn't play in 2020. And you can say that the alternate training site helped, they could say it helped as much as they want, but it certainly isn't game action, And Blade, obviously, he had a short season in 2019 and he was okay. He started coming on a little bit. We know about the struggles this year. So how obviously you're concerned about him having a good year. Everybody is. He's got to start impacting the baseball more. But Kevin, let me go to you. How concerned are you about him long term? Do you think Marlins fans should be concerned about him long term?
You're talking about Blade, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, we shouldn't be concerned at all. I mean, guy's gonna come up in a couple of years at least. I'm not sure. Maybe 2 years, 3 years. I would say, depending how the development goes with Blade, but just give him time. The guy has to adjust. This is his first Double-A season, if I'm correct. So, it's different competition, I would say, but just give the man time, maybe a year, 1 more year, and see what happens.
If I may interject quickly, I want to give my prediction and head out. I just tried getting Mel
No problem.
Stoudemire to sign my scorecard, and he just walked away.
No problem.
So I think there's a chance we split this series. It's slim, but there's a chance, so I'm going to go with that, and I got to go. And there's Lewis Brinson, so I'm a little bit of a fan.
All right.
So I got to go.
Enjoy the game. Have fun, man. Good. Thanks
right.
for joining us.
Hey, guys. Go Fish.
Yeah. So, Alex Carver, you watch these games. You are the expert on this chat right now, and we'll get off minor league talk in a minute and get back into the Marlins, but I just want to finish this up real quick. What's got to change? Is it the hitters, or is it, is there something in a team-wide approach that you're seeing that just isn't working? What's the deal here?
Yeah, Ethan, these guys are all working on something. I mean, we saw with Blade. We were mentioning it on Twitter the other night, I think last night after he hit his home run, which was great to see. A great at-bat, by the way. He fouled a ball off that was just barely foul, and then he got a similar pitch in a similar spot the next time, and he went oppo for a home run. So that's the signs that you look at that you're like, wow, okay, he made the adjustment mid-at-bat. He recognized that the guy's going to that spot again, saw the pitch well, and hit the pitch. So that's the kind of adjustments that you want to see from JJ Blade, either in the middle of an at-bat or to start an at-bat, either way, but in the middle of an at-bat is huge. And then, like I said, they're all working on something. If you look at his mechanics at the start of the year and look at his mechanics now, it's not 100% different, but there's differences. His hands are a little lower. Stance is a little more closed, I should say. He had a little bit more of a wider stance to start the year. So, closing up, recognizing pitches better, hands are lower. He's more closed. Like I said, I always like to see closed hitters rather than hitters that are start open and fly open early, and they just, foul the ball off weakly or, rake it for a foul ball. So those are the kind of adjustments that you like from the mechanical, nerdy Alex minor league scouting standpoint, I guess. But as a whole, I guess what you could say about all those guys is that I agree with Kevin that it's just way too early, man, after a missed season, as you said, Ethan. And then a lot of these guys that are stepping well up the ladder, whereas Burdick was playing in low A, and Blade, as you said, only had just a little bit at high A, and now they're both in double A. So, yeah, what you wanted to see is guys that were going to come in and immediately rake the baseball and hit all these home runs and hit for average. They were walking really well, so that told me that they were seeing pitches well. It's just in the mechanics, man. It's just in adjustments that they need to make with their mechanics. And I think Blade is starting to do it. Burdick will do it. I've always said that I think Burdick will be a lower average, higher power hitter, and I will stick to that. Whereas that's
it's a good prediction.
Hitter. Yeah, I think you're going to see him be a 250 hitter that cranks home runs. Honestly, that has good speed. So I really don't think he's a 4 average guy. So I think you're kind of seeing that come out a little bit as he approaches double A. And then, man, yeah, I mean, it's just way too early to say, you know what, wow, we got to worry. I would say one guy that you could look at and be kind of worried right now is Victor Mesa, just because of his age and the fact that he's now playing in high A as a 25 going on 26-year-old. So
not only worried,
about him, the rest of the guys don't worry.
Yeah. No, I completely given
real
up.
Real quick. Since we're on Mesa, before we keep on going, since we're on Mesa Jr. Revealed a picture of Messi holding his jersey.
That was
and
crazy.
That's cool and all. That's cool and
insane.
all. That's cool and all. But this is my 2 cents on it. Why the hell didn't the Marlins send Messi a customized Messi jersey?
Well, I would love to see Messi.
Why didn't they get him in the lineup?
I would love to see Messi in a game. Yeah, and I wonder if he could maybe hit Eric Fetty better than some of the guys in the Marlins lineup could. But anyway, let's keep rolling. I wanted to get into the draft picks, but we don't have time. Obviously, I think we'll know a little more about that on the next stream, so we can kind of push that back to the next stream. That should all be almost sorted out by then. Obviously, the big question is, will the Marlins sign Khalil Watson? And just from our discussions we've been having off screen, I think we all agree that they will. And here come the Padres, one of the best teams in the majors. They're 56-42, which is crazy enough. They're third in their division, and they're 5.5 games back of the San Francisco Giants. Obviously, they're going to make the playoffs. These three teams in the National League West are all going to make the playoffs. One's going to win the division, and the other two are going to meet in the wild card game. The Padres are just 5-5 in their last 10 games, though. They haven't been playing great baseball of late, but they're obviously a fantastic team. Sorry, one second. They've got a 3.51 team ERA. It's fifth in the majors. It's actually one spot ahead of the Marlins. 740 team OPS, 11th in baseball, 103 weighted runs created plus, 8th in baseball. So they've got about a top 10 offense in baseball. Before we get into talking about Fernando Tatis Jr., because I want to spend some time talking specifically about him, Alex, when the Padres start Contreras, that is, when the Padres roll into town, what excites you most about them coming to town?
Man, the sexy throwback jerseys that they got on, dude. The pinstripes with the grays and the yellow, the mustard looking. They were hideous like 20, 30 years ago, but now they look hot. the throwbacks are in. You know, they got Manny Machado, they got Fernando Tatis, they got Musgrove, who threw a no-hitter earlier. So it's a lot of excitement, you know, like you mentioned, Ethan. These three teams are definitely from the NL West, and they're gonna make it into the postseason. And like, as a Marlins fan, as a baseball fan in general, you're just happy to see these guys right now. Right now, it's not about seeing the Marlins game. Right now, we didn't go see the Padres game.
Yeah, I'm actually really, really excited for this series because the Padres are in town, and they're such a fun team to watch. I mean, they just hit the ball out of the ballpark at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and they've got guys up and down the lineup that can do it. They have good pitching. They're a team that's built to win, man, and they've been doing a lot of it this year. And so let's get right into talking about this guy, because I think he is, you know, everything you want in a face of not only a franchise, but maybe even the league. Like, I think him, you know, you can talk about Soto and Acuna and Vladdy and Ohtani and you know, some of these other guys, but I think his personality and the way, you know, he plays the game and just how good he is, I don't know that you can pick a better face for the league than this Fernando Tatis Jr. kid. 293, 375, 650, 1025 OPS, 29 home runs, 66 RBIs, 168 weighted runs created plus. Him, Duvall, and Aguilar are constantly competing for the RBI lead.
He's slugging 650?
He's slugging 650. Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. So, and that's with dead balls. The balls have been dead this year. You know, guys were slugging 700 the last few years because the balls were juiced, but that's not happening right now.
And the pitcher's park too. You know, Petco is not exactly.
Yeah, you know, the ball doesn't really fly there with the marine layer and everything. So Isaac, since, you know, is he your NL MVP right now? Like, what is it about this kid that's so captivating?
You know what? As of right now, definitely, it's just ridiculous how good he is, especially with that injury that he had in the beginning of the year, that shoulder thing, and like he was struggling a little bit for like the shortest amount of time, and he comes back and he's just getting on base. He's hitting for power. He's a phenomenal player. I mean, the errors, you know, they're gonna come, but you know, I'll take that any day of the week. But the one guy who might try and beat him out is Juan Soto. I think this guy's gonna take off.
Yeah, he's gonna.
Juan Soto is just a phenomenal hitter. I think he's literally like an impeccable hitter is what I think. And I think I would rather have him than Tatis. That's a discussion for another day. But I think, you know, it'll be between him and Soto for MVP for sure.
You can't go wrong with either. And Soto, right, you know, he obviously goes off against the Marlins, and he's saying that the home run derby fixed his swing because he was having trouble lifting the ball. And now all of a sudden he's lifting the ball because he was doing it so much in the home run derby. So, Daniel, I'm going to go to you here, man. Tatis, like, name a better face for this league in the next 10 to 15 years than this kid.
Right here. Right
Oh, no.
You had to get the bobblehead in there somehow. You had to show it off somehow.
Well, I want to go a little bit and talk about the Marte stuff happening, because the Twins just announced who they got in return for that trade. They got, you know, Joe Ryan, right-handed pitcher, number 10th in the Rays system, and then they also got Drew Stoutman, right-handed pitcher, number 17. all that from Nelson Cruz. So if you look at what the Marlins can get from Marte, if the Rays got, Twins guy, I should say, number 10 and 17 guy, then maybe for Marte, a guy who's younger, faster, you could actually play the outfield, then things should be looking good for the Marlins if the Twins can get that for a 41-year-old DH.
So you're free
I
agent?
think things could be pretty good.
Is it Cruz? What's his contract status exactly? Sorry to ask.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, that's a great point, Daniel. Even with, if he signed a 1-year deal, so yeah, he's on an expiring contract. So it would be a good idea for the Marlins to get out in front of the market and make a trade as soon as possible because the market will either slow or it could heat up. Come deadline day as teams get more desperate. But Isaac, I think you were saying this earlier. The Marlins have no leverage here. So I think that Daniel's absolutely right that when he says it's a good time for the Marlins to get out in front of the market, and that's a promising trade for what the Marlins can get for Starling Marte.
Yeah.
Kevin, I'll
just find it hard.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I find it hard for the Marlins to get the same type of value that the Twins just got for Nelson Cruz. Like, no disrespect, I know he's a lot older than Marte and everything, but they're two different types of players. The speed, the dynamic that Starling brings to the table is different from the power and run producing machine that Nelson Cruz is. This guy's 41 years old. He's sitting at 19 home runs, 50 RBIs. The year before that, he had 16, 41, 37, 39, 43. This guy is sitting. He's about 65 home runs away from 500. So. It's not ludicrous that the Rays overpaid a little bit to get him, but you got to give something to get something. That being said, Starling Marte's case is that he got hurt. He got hurt in the ribs this year, so that took a lot of playing time away from him. And so teams are gonna say, "Hey, Marlins, listen up. I know that you want to get this and that, but you got to have to give me a lot more." So that's how I feel that they're gonna come at him.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and Levitard the other day was talking about Marte, and Stugatz was like, well, he's only got 7 home runs, and we might, for guys that watch the team every day, obviously we know Marte is much more valuable than 7 home runs, but teams will definitely be saying to the Marlins, this guy only has 7 home runs, and I don't think he has a lot of RBIs either. So, he hasn't been a run producer the way, you're right, Alex, like a guy like Nelson Cruz or some other guys have, but I think we got 10 minutes till first pitch. It's 7:10, not 7:05. So, Kevin, let's just keep the discussion with the Padres going. When the Padres come to town, what excites you most?
Fernando Tatis Jr. That's the only name you could really hear. I think everyone's done with the Marlins. It's just time to see all these big time teams coming in. We got the Yankees. We got first the Padres. Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado. You could say Blake Snell, Musgrove, all these guys, and then you have the Yankees, which is one of those old-fashioned teams, but they're very known. They got Judge. You're going to be able to see Stanton, all those guys. So I think what excites everyone, it's Fernando Tatis. It's the kind of team that they have. All these young guys. Cronenworth also has to be mentioned as one of the more talented players on that team. It's just a good team, and Austin Nola's back today, I'm pretty sure, in that lineup. So it's a good team, man. And somehow they're third place in the NL West, a team with that talent. And, but the Giants have just been surprising. The Dodgers, they've been great. So, you look at that team and it's like, you're just surprised that they're in third place. That is one hell of a ball club in San Diego. And
who we haven't even mentioned yet? Fucking Manny Machado. Like, he's still one of the best defensive third basemen in the league. Yeah. He's got an 840 something OPS. I looked earlier. He's got 16 home runs this year. He might not be hitting the way that we've seen him in some seasons in the past, but he's still a tremendous baseball player. Still one of the better, like I said, defensive third basemen, one of the better defensive players, period, in the league. And another guy that we haven't mentioned is Yu Darvish. And, Blake Snell is pitching tonight, and he hasn't been great. We know how the Marlins do with lefties. He's a little bit more of a hard throwing lefty than those soft tossing lefties that they really struggle with. But, Alex was on here the other day talking about how terrible Eric Fetty was, and then he goes out and deals. And Snell's had a rough year, and it just sounds like a perfect recipe for Snell to just kind of go, 8, 10 Ks, something like that.
We're the team that puts every pitcher back on
7 innings. Yeah. So Snell, Musgrove, Weathers, Darvish for the Padres. And then Alex, What do the Marlins do in this series? They have to kind of pray that they get Sandy back, right? But I doubt doesn't look like that's going to be happening. I don't know if anybody asked at the press conference today, but right now it sets up with Bender and Holloway tonight. Bender's going to open, and we obviously expect Holloway to eat most of the innings. We've got Thompson tomorrow. There's no way they're going to send Detweiler out there again on Saturday. That can't happen. And then you've got Rogers on Sunday, and Rogers and Darvish is a great matchup. So Carver, how do the Marlins handle this, man? I don't know how they're going to get innings eaten.
Yeah, it's going to be another one of those situations where they go to a guy in the minors, maybe Luis Madero. But I just wanted to mention, I lived in San Diego. You guys may not know this. I lived in San Diego, California for 12 years, okay? I moved there actually in 2003, right before the Marlins won the title. And I lived there for a long time. And, man, let me just tell you, that team, except for one season, I think in 98, when they went to the World Series and got killed by the Yankees. Other than that season, that team was – for most of my tenure there, not good. I mean, they had good players, especially when I first moved there with Gwynn and Caminetti, rest in peace to both of them. But I'm just saying, like, they had a core of players, but nothing around them and nothing to build off of. So just to see what A.J. Preller and the Padres did this year, we mentioned all the names. One name that you didn't mention, Ethan, we didn't even mention Cronenworth. Like, that guy.
Daniel did, or somebody did. I can't remember who. Kevin maybe.
Yeah. For the cycle. Insane.
Just to bring it up, like, that's how you trade with the Rays. They won that trade hands down. I mean, Xavier Edwards, I think, is going to be a great player. We were talking about him last time, but in the short term, man, they won that trade. Cronenworth going off, Tatis generational, like all these guys that they picked up. Musgrove, we talked about him. Blake Snell, who's established. They just executed that offseason to perfection.
Can't forget Chris Paddock, Marlins legend.
Yeah,
all of a sudden he's falling off. But
I just want to call attention to that. That's how if you want to win now, like, look at that offseason and base all of your plans off of what AJ Preller did this offseason, because man, it was really good.
Let's look at this. First of all, I saw a great tweet the other night, which is the Rays win every trade except the trades that they very much don't win, and the Cronenworth trade is a good example of that. But with the Padres, right? So everybody, when they were in on Machado, Machado, they thought everybody was like, he's going back to the Dodgers or he's going to go to the White Sox, and the White Sox were in a little bit better position, and everybody was like, what are the Padres doing? Why are they going all in this guy? But they knew what they had in Fernando Tatis Jr. They knew what they had in some of these other guys, and they still have a loaded farm system behind all of these guys. And they've made some good trades using that farm system to go out and get Snell. They got Clevenger. They got, they have a few other pitchers. Patino, or not Patino. Lamet is hurt and down. They've still got so many good pitchers, and they put together a good team out of nowhere. And you're right, Alex. Like, everybody was like, what the hell are these guys doing? And then all of a sudden they went all in. And it's paid off completely. And here they are sitting, as one of the best teams in the league and dangerous for years to come. They've got Machado locked up long term. They've got why did I forget his name? He's the best player in the league. Tatis Jr. locked up long term. Darvish is still on a good deal that they got from him on Chicago. Snell, all these pitchers that they have are locked up for a while. So, I mean, they're good. They're really good. And so when you look at this roster and you look at how the Marlins sit up, and obviously, we saw a 4-game Dodger series with the Dodgers a few weeks ago before the All-Star break, and it was different circumstances back then, but the Marlins definitely held their own against the Dodgers. And I don't like to ever say that any team in a 4-game series is going to take 3 or 4. I think that's always really tough to say. But 5 minutes left. It's prediction time. What are you guys looking forward to? What do you, and then obviously your prediction. So, Kevin, you're in the bottom left corner this time, and I'll start with you.
All right. I'm pretty sure they'll win tonight. I think they win tonight. I'm not that Snell's the weakest one, but he's the one I think they could get to the most with that 5 ERA. Tomorrow it's Thompson. I think they'll lose. It's Musgrove. I'm just gonna cut straight to the chase. They're gonna win only the first one. And they'll lose the other 3.
Daniel?
They're going to get destroyed.
Daniel, go ahead.
The exact same thing. 1-3. I think they might take. Actually, maybe not the Darvish game. Maybe the the Ryan Weathers game, or today might be the only opportunity they have to win. But I think 1-3, Tatis too much, Cronenworth, all those guys would just be too much. We haven't even mentioned Tommy Pham and Eric Hosmer also from
Trent
Miami.
Grisham. Yeah,
Trent Grisham,
Team
Jurickson
is
Profar.
loaded. Team is loaded. Isaac, your prediction. Are you still on the I don't care prediction right now?
Nah, man. It's a shame that Cooper is on the IL because I would have liked to see him against Darvish again, from the wild card game last year. But, I say maybe they split this year. Maybe they win this game and they win Trevor start on Sunday against Darvish. But, that's about it. It could easily go 3 out of 4 we lose. But I'll be optimistic, say they split.
Contreras, your prediction.
You ready for this? 4-0, baby. 4-0. Padres, sweep it out.
Oh,
yeah, I was about
You had me. Carver, your prediction for this series.
They're getting swept.
Yeah.
They got Anthony.
Yeah, it's the real Alex. Shout out to Alex, man. My man.
Yeah.
Alex is keeping it real out here.
Yeah, hey, man. Like, seriously, yes, this would be the game to get, but look what they have. Like, look, where's the length out of the pen? I see a sweep. Go watch the San Diego team, though, man. They're damn good. Watch Dave Weathers' kid. That's a name that only me and Eli on this call will probably know. Dave Weathers' son, old Marlin from Ryan Weathers. He should be back. I could think starting tomorrow. From
He's
what
pitching
I just saw.
Saturday. He's pitching Saturday.
Yeah, there you go. So go watch him. Go watch Tatis. Enjoy the San Diego team, man, because it's a joy to watch this team play baseball.
Yeah, I'll tell you that. I'm going to the game tomorrow night to cover it, and then I told my brother, and he's out of town, but I told my dad, like, we got to go see Tatis up close and personal. Like, we got to go watch this kid. So I'm gonna try and go Saturday as well. But, I'm gonna go Isaac's route from last week. Like, I'm not going to predict that any team's going to sweep in a 4-game series, and I also am not going to predict that the Marlins are going to split because the matchups aren't favorable. So put my prediction down as Tatis' show. I think this kid puts on a show this weekend, and I'm really looking forward to watching. He struggled against the Marlins last time he was here. I saw today that Fish Stripe tweeted he was like 1 for 11 with 5 Ks or something, but I think that just reverses. I think he puts on a show this weekend. And Machado coming home, he had a big moment. I think he hit a home run in this park in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
I think he'll have a nice series too. But I just want to watch Tatis. Like Alex said. And tonight, Bender. I think the Marlins are kind of trying to get him out in front, kind of trying to get some confidence back into him. Get him kind of readjusted and back on track. And we'll see if it works. He's going to have to go up against that one. I haven't seen the Padres lineup, but I imagine at least Tatis is involved in that 1-2-3. But here it is. Grisham, Tatis, and Cronenworth will be, and then Machado, Pham, Hosmer, Nola, Profar. That's a ridiculous lineup. But
good luck,
anyway, yeah.
Good luck.
Anyway, like I told you guys,
Lanston, all those guys.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like I told you guys last time, go have fun, go enjoy yourselves, go live life. Life is beautiful. Go enjoy the Padres. So for everybody, for Eli, for Noah who left us earlier, for Alex, Kevin, Daniel, Isaac, I'm Ethan. Enjoy the Padres, enjoy the Marlins, and go Fish.
Y'all ready?